Hello and welcome down the rabbit hole. Something that I really thought I needed to talk about was when Elm stated how women long to live out fantasies being taken by a man she's never spoken to, alone giving consent to. I thought that was absurd in my opinion because I don't think any woman would have a fantasy like that, but I also can't assume anything either. Something also said was women often seen as sex objects and men are often seen as success objects. And that brings me into of women marrying men because they make good income, not because she loves him, and it's like prostitution for a lifetime. That really got my gears thinking because if a woman really is only in the marriage for the money, so be it. Technically, the correct terminology, I guess, would be that, but what do I know? Also, what I thought was interesting was when the honey badgers stated, what needs to be realized is men are vulnerable and how women are actors. Huge blind spot to women who do bad things. I personally do think that is something that is getting the blind eye turned to because men are always assumed to be excuse me, the perpetrators at the end of the day. When things happen, it's always the men because they're with the stereotype. They're the stronger ones. They're the ones who could do physical harm. But at the end of the day, women can do physical harm as well, just like the man who was in his marriage for 22 years, or so be it, and dealing with that domestic violence. Speaking of, when one of them did call the domestic centers when he was looking them up, and they said that we don't help male or men at all. But then there's over 2,000 domestic violence shelters, excuse me, in the US that serve females and that do nearly turn away all men. That truly does show, in my opinion, that resources don't match the need. Because if they're looking up these things, that can't be the only person who searched that up on the internet. They can't be the only demand for it, and I guarantee you they're not the only ones. When also that man, once he spoke up, they said that more and more were speaking up as well because they had that, like, they had someone who was in that same boat that they didn't think were in the boat with them. And this did open my eyes up into a whole new perspective that honestly I didn't know existed. I knew there were the stigmas of the men's have the role, the men's provide, the men's go to work, they have the good income, the women are supposed to be the ones to stay at home, take care of the kids, nurse, so be it. But that I guess also plays into anatomy because that's just how women, that all works. So yes, there is the difference in that relationship, and I think that might play a part. But at the end of the day, they also said that at the end of the day, to protect and provide, and now women have access to what men have always had, the women haven't, or the women are not behind the semis. So at the end, they're going to haul the big things. They're going to be the macho men, if you per se, being the strong people. But I am intrigued to also look into this a little more as well.